Do you have friends that have said, "Oh, I met this cute guy at the airport while we were just waiting," and
Yeah.
and then he
Or
picked me
like
up.
custom officers or
What? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there, a lot of moving parts.
even passengers. You could just, there's been passengers that would come up, just give them a napkin. It'd be their number. You could just simply do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How much time did that work out of 10 for you?
To give you a piece of my mind.
Right. Y'all already know what time it is. It's the Far From Normal Bros, and we back at it again. First of all, I'm going to need you to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a mother effing friend to follow and subscribe to your boys. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms as well. You can also catch us on the gram. You already know that's at far_from_normal_podcast. Make sure you check that out. You can catch us on YouTube and TikTok, Far From Normal Podcast. Put that in the search engine. You can find your boys there. We got the website, www.farfromnormalpodcast.com. We got the links all up there, and you already know where to find your boy. It's your boy Fuzzy Vision. Of course, I see the world clear every single day. That's Fuzzy Vision with 2 N's. For any likes, dislikes, rebuttals, or if you want to get on the podcast, hit your boy up. Sonny, let him know the handle, baby.
You already know what it is. It's your boy, Sunny Frames. You can catch me on the gram at Sunny, SONNY, Frames, double S at the end. Make sure when you check out the gram, check out my stories. And I stress my stories because I usually post a lot of things that has to do with inspiration, motivation, and just chasing your dreams and execution. Let's not forget about that. That's the most important thing when it comes to when it's all said and done. Things don't get done unless you actually execute. So make sure you're proactive and you're always thinking of a plan to actually make things happen. And Fuzzy, let's get them.
All right. It's the Far From Normal Podcast, and of course, we back. First of all, I'm going to need you to drop that applause. Yes, sir. First of all, we want to thank the first time and last time listeners, those that, been tuning in from the beginning, those that just started. We appreciate you all. And last but not least, we do got to give a shout out to all those that are coming on and our guests on the podcast. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the conversations we get to go through, the relationships we get to forge through it all. And of course, what do you got to say on the matter, Sonny?
I got to say the same thing. I definitely want to thank family and friends. I want to thank every interviewee that's been on the podcast and helped Far From Normal grow. I definitely want to thank haters and lovers because anybody that listens to the podcast helps the podcast grow. So even if we do get criticism or if we do get good support, both of them are as equally as great. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, so let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it, and let's talk about the topic today will be dating a flight attendant. Let me say that again, dating a flight attendant. So that's what the topic's going to be today. And the funny thing is, we have a guest that's actually a guest that's been on. It's a returning guest that came a lot earlier in our journey in the Far From Normal podcast. She came on episode 94. She was actually the first female that did the call-in because we were still on call-ins at that point. We weren't even in studio. So she was the first female that actually did a call-in interview, and she's a returning guest. So this is her first time in the studio. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, actually. Let me just give her applause when she walks in. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. All right.
Let's go.
Let's see. Let's get it.
Oh.
Introduce yourself.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, hello again. I guess if you guys didn't tune in on episode 94, my name is Kayla.
Yes.
And
Let's get it.
Let's get it. Drop
Let's
a bomb.
get
Drop
it.
a bomb.
these guys being in the studio now, they go.
There you go.
We are in studio. Oh, yeah.
Went from call-ins to now studio.
Exactly.
There you go.
So for people that don't know you and haven't heard your call-in when you were the first female that did a call-in, please give them a brief description about yourself.
guess to say, I feel like I'm a simple person.
Uh,
I'm a flight attendant, I guess.
Okay.
Just to name drop, not name drop, but I guess just drop that.
Okay.
I also am an account manager.
All right.
I have my cat. I like to do things. I like to socialize. I like to travel.
Mm.
I like to cook.
Mm.
What else do I like? I like a lot of things. I like my friends.
All right. So that's actually what we're gonna get into today. So that's the funny thing. We're gonna get into that whole lifestyle as a flight attendant, and how do you even conduct your life on a daily basis, especially because you're constantly traveling. So we're interested to know, how does that work? The day-to-day, the challenges that you may face when it comes to being a flight attendant. And just make sure you're talking in the mic so we could actually hear you clearly.
I would say maybe the biggest challenge would be the, I guess, the unpredictable nature of Mother Nature.
Ah, so what do you mean by that?
Well, you would expect everything to be on time, right?
Okay.
Well, given we're also in Toronto,
Yeah.
Pearson probably being one of the worst airports,
100%.
it's difficult to say, hey, let's hang out on Friday, but I got a flight. It's predicted to land at 4 p.m., but I can't have that concrete plan on Friday knowing that I'm going to be flying.
Okay. All right.
Because who knows? Mother Nature might ballpark us to having a snowstorm or like just a storm in general.
True, because you're dealing with the 4 seasons, so anything can happen.
Or just like mechanicals, or for example, not enough staff at the airport. So it'll take a while for you to park at the gate. Got to stay on the tarmac for probably 1 or 2 hours sometimes. I know last summer was very difficult. So
Wow.
I know, oh no, not even last summer. Let's go last winter when there was a Vancouver snowstorm. People were on the tarmac for like 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and these people came from Australia that I'm aware of. I wasn't on that flight, but I know of people.
Okay.
So I'd like to chime in. So how's the stress of your job? You dealing with, it's kind of like a customer service job. I want to know how the stress affects you on your day to day, because dealing with people in a tight, confined space, especially on an aircraft, could be like challenging, on your mental, because you're around a lot of people. So what's that like? What's the challenges behind the job?
I don't think it's much of a challenge. I think it's just understanding the environment you're in. People are coming on board because they want to go on vacation. Maybe there was a family matter that they have to attend to. You're going to be dealing with all walks of life, and you don't know where they're coming from and why they're going on that plane. You can't take things personally where they're yelling at you for being in the wrong seat. Maybe they don't have enough leg room. I think the time has passed enough. Time has passed enough for me to not take things personally, because if you take things personally, then it's just going to get in your head.
Okay, so because the reason why I was asking about the stress of the job is because it's not a job that's maybe, I would say, easy to explain to others, especially if you're coming from a point of view of dating. So I want to know, in your perspective, when you talk about your job and what it entails, do you really get into that if you're dating somebody, if you're seeing somebody? Is because your job is very different than, a typical job. Just because you're leaving the actual country, or you're leaving the province, or you're headed somewhere else outside of the vicinity of whoever you're talking to, how does that work? Do you have to explain to them your day-to-day because it changes, or do you just kind of tell them that, everything's irregular, nothing's kind of constant, everything changes?
I don't think I have to bring in like the complaints that I get, or the amount of people who are upset or unable to fully communicate properly, because there's all different cultures coming around too. Some people don't speak English, some people don't speak French. I speak French.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know you speak French. You're fluent?
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't test me right now.
Oh, wow. Hold on. It's a bomb drop right there. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. So as you're saying, so do you explain your job to somebody that's talking to you, trying to get to know you? How does that start off if your job is very different than, say, a normal person? Like, in terms of them wanting to hang out, wanting to meet up, how does that work?
I think what I more so talk about is when I'm at layovers, or maybe if there's a huge delay, maybe I'll talk about that. I'm not going to talk about other people. I think that's their business at the end of the day. I don't know what they're where they're coming from. I'm not going to take that personally. I probably won't talk about that. I'll probably talk more so of what I've been experiencing. It's like, oh, I experienced a delay today. It sucked. Or I had to stay in Montego Bay for the night because there was a mechanical. I'm going to talk about the good things more so. I don't want to derive to a negativity. I'm going to try talking as much, although delays are kind of in the negative aspect, but you could try and turn it around and make it positive.
Okay, so let's segue that into now. Let's say we get past that, the delays and stuff of that nature. When you are in another country, how do you meet people from different walks of life, different cultures, and then also different languages? So how do you communicate with those individuals? And yeah, how do you meet them? Where's the best place to meet them?
Best place to meet them would be maybe at the tourist areas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but typically I am getting together with my crew.
Okay.
Typically you do form that acquaintance bond when you first come on board. Maybe it's somebody I've already flown with in the past. That's even better. It's like we've already done the introductions. I don't have to explain my life. We can go ahead and maybe go to a restaurant together.
Okay. Also, you're not really open to getting to know new people?
No, I definitely am. I meet new people every flight.
But I mean, like chilling with them, hanging out with them, instead of hanging out with your crew. When do you find time, let's say, just meeting up a new friend? So just meeting somebody new, when do you find time to actually hang out with them? Or are you kind of afraid in a sense where it's like, I don't really know you like that, so I don't want to actually go somewhere with you? But you're cool, but I really don't know too much about you, so I don't feel comfortable actually going somewhere with you.
I feel like I've always been pretty comfortable going out with whomever.
Wow.
Not like in the sense of dating or anything. Just
No, I'm
in
just
general.
saying, like, wow, like just even meeting like a random person and they want to hang out. It's kind of interesting that you're open minded to want to actually pursue that and say, oh yeah, let's go hang out, let's go get a coffee or something like that. Because some people would just say, that person's cool, but I don't really know this person like that, so we'll keep it as cordial as possible, but I don't think we'll actually meet up in the future.
I don't think it starts like that, though. I don't think you go up to somebody, hey, let's go get a coffee. I think you're going to be doing something, and maybe you're waiting in line, or maybe you're waiting for a coffee.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, something comes up of interest, or maybe you overhear them say something, or maybe they're trying to take a picture. It's like, hey, that was my go-to line, to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was in Tanzania 2 years ago.
Okay.
I see these group of girls, and they're trying to take some group picture.
All right.
And I was like, hey, do you want me to take a picture of you girls?
Okay.
And then they're like, sure. And then at that time, I was alone. I was waiting on my homeboy at that time. And they're like, oh, are you alone? I was like, oh, no, I'm waiting on my homeboy. We're here for my birthday.
Okay.
And then they're like, oh, like, do you want to hang out with us? And that's kind of how it starts. And
Okay, yeah.
even when it comes to like solo traveling and everything, you kind of get a feel. I feel you catch on somebody's energy pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If they're open to communicating with you or not. And then you kind of just feed off that energy of whether or not you should pursue further, or maybe you should just be like, okay, that was just cordial.
Okay, yeah, I definitely understand that aspect. You definitely have a more keen sense when it comes to meeting new people and feeling their energy, because if you travel frequently, you get a better understanding of human nature and how people behave and who's going to be hostile and who's going to be just kind and nice and friendly. You have a better understanding of that for sure. So when it comes to, let's say, flight attendants and dating, first of all, before I even get into that, Fuzzy, you have anything you want to add on that?
Well, when it comes to dating, for you and your position, I guess the question that I have is, when it comes to you being in different countries, meeting different people, do you open yourself up to dating outside of the country, or do you just keep it to where you're locally at?
I think I keep it to where I'm locally at.
Is there a reason for that? What's the reason for that?
I think it's because I know I'm not grounded at those places I visited. I don't expect to be grounded in those places. I know I'm there for a short time. I'm not there for a long time.
Okay.
I don't got enough time to be giving you my full life and creating that bond with you.
Okay. Well, at least you're realistic in that sense. Not everybody, I would say, not everybody moves accordingly when it comes to that.
Is there a destination? Do you have a destination, a place that you're going to? They say, okay, definitely. If I get a chance to actually land here, there are prospects here that I've always wanted to, see for myself. I like this culture. I want to be engaged with these sorts of people. Do you have a preference?
By the way, that was Jiraiya the Wise.
I dropped the bomb.
Drop the bomb on that.
He's been listening.
He's been listening
on the
in.
mic behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
But back to Kayla. What Jiraiya was saying about
Honestly, I haven't
opening up options.
I haven't opened my mind to that way. I think if it just happens, it just happens. I don't go to a place expecting, I'm going to meet my man.
Okay, so I guess I want to transition quickly. So are you saying you don't, or I guess the question is, do you believe in long distance relationships?
I do. I think it has, for me personally, I wouldn't do it. However, I know of people who do it, and it works great for them.
Why wouldn't you do it since you have a job that requires you to be out of town? I would say it's a sort of long distant relationship to some people if you're not going to be located in the city. It's just like a construction worker going out of town to work for a couple of weeks here and there. It's a little bit of a long distance relationship because you're going to have to deal with the person not being around you and also deal with what has to come with just not being around, coping with that person not being around. Whether it's your physical needs, emotional needs. I'm just saying, like, how your situation is when you travel, it's no different than, say, a guy traveling for work and not being around his partner. There's going to be a lack of maybe connection or something of that nature. So I would say the job you chose would most likely entail some sort of long distance in it. So you said you don't believe in that. So how would you operate in your relationships if that's not something you're interested in?
One, I think that comes with communication. I think you got to communicate with your partner as to whether or not they're comfortable with the amount of travel you do. If they're not, no worries. I got ways to recreate my schedule.
Just make sure you're talking more on the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, for example, every month we have to bid for our flights. There could be months where, okay, I don't want to go anywhere this month. I want to treat this as a day job where I'm taking a morning flight and I'll be home in the evening. You could do that. And the nice thing is that being a flight attendant, there are minimum hours. So you could be at a minimum for the company I'm at. You could be at a minimum of 65 hours a month. That is, yeah.
That's
not
that's
much.
insane.
It's not much. You could work maybe 9 flights max, and then you'll be offered in the next 19 days. I think that's a
wow.
plenty.
Well, I didn't even know
plenty.
that's how that works.
Or then there's months it's like I wanna leave this place.
Wow.
I don't want to be here right now. For example, I've been choosing LA flights a lot because I want to do my Trader Joe runs.
Okay.
What's that, Trader Joe's?
Yeah,
Could you
for people
explain
that don't
that?
know. Yeah, for people that don't know.
It's a grocery store.
Oh, to get your little cheap groceries.
No, it's like a Whole Foods kind of deal.
Okay.
But
Just save that money. I hear you.
it is cheaper in the States overall.
Yeah, no,
But-
I seen a video on that recently.
Yeah.
Or
Dry, you have anything else to add to that?
Oh, no, I'm listening. I'm
Okay,
enjoying,
yeah, he's
enjoying.
listening.
Jump in when you're ready, bro.
Whenever
Oh,
you're
for
ready.
sure.
Okay, yeah. Continue, Kayla.
But there's going to be those months where you're pretty busy. But I think that's all up to me at the end of the day as to how busy I want to make my schedule.
Okay.
And that comes with seniority, though. For example, if I was just starting out right now to be a flight attendant, that's unpredictable. I'd be on call, not knowing when I'm flying. Maybe I'm not going to be flying at all.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about long distance relationships. Dry, you wanna add to that? Long distance relationships and her thoughts on that.
I mean, so Kayla, how does it actually work? Have you actually been in a relationship you say you don't enjoy doing long distance relationships, correct? So is it short to medium? How do you structure that? How do you have a relationship right now that you're in?
I am, yes.
Okay, so Did this happen during the time that you have been a flight attendant, right?
It has.
So how do you integrate that? I would like to know more about, not exactly the details, but the dynamics of how you met the individual and so forth.
I think it all comes with flexibility. Again, communicating, just understanding each other's lifestyles.
So you met this individual from Toronto?
Toronto, yeah.
Okay, so this individual has known you from before.
No, I was a flight attendant already.
Okay.
I've been a flight attendant for a bit.
Okay.
In about 6 years now.
Got it. So how did that come along? How what you speak flexibility? How flexible was this individual? Was there something he had to give, or how did it work out? How did you guys?
I don't think either of us had to give up anything.
Okay.
It's all about understanding each other and what you're willing to take or what you're not willing to take.
Got it.
Okay, so how much times do you actually get to see this individual?
Pretty often.
Really?
say.
Even with
I
all the
think
flights you take?
There's months where maybe this
Months?
No, there's
Jeez. Oh,
no, I'm gonna
jeez.
say,
I
I'm
don't know,
saying
man.
there's months where I'm busy. There's months where he's gonna be busy.
Okay. And in those months when he's busy and those months you're busy, how many times do you guys see each other?
I don't know.
You don't know? There's 30 days in a month. How many
I'm not counting the days of how often I'm seeing him.
Okay. All right. I mean, everybody's dynamics are different, so I guess.
Yeah, it's like when we see each other, we see each other. I'm not going to be counting how many days did I see you this month. That wasn't enough days. I'm just going with the way of life. I'm going just flowing with what life is giving me. I'm not going to put no pressure on no time, and I'm not going to pressure no one on what they want to be doing.
Okay, so without having to go too specific with you, being a flight attendant, what has been your experience like? The people that you work with, how do they engage with relationships? Are there more statistics suggesting that they're the sorts of individuals to just be more on a fling or to be a short-term type of situation? Or do you notice that the people you work with, most of them actually have long-term committed relationship? How does that work out from your anecdotal experiences?
I would say a good amount, maybe like 70% are in long-term relationships.
Wow.
Or maybe they're married, they've been married, they have
Wow.
a whole family.
Wow.
Yeah, it works. I think it works better, again, with seniority over time. The more you're able to create your schedule, the more you can create your life.
Yeah, I think also what happens with that is it creates a lot of space for the individuals to.
I was gonna say that to be able to remove themselves from possible conflicts. You guys don't really engage in deeper conflicts. Is the assumption, or do you guys have the same kind of conflicts?
No,
It's almost like how I hate to bring it up, but when we had that lockdown, let's just say that.
Yeah.
How everyone had to come together, and that caused a lot of stress in relationships. So a lot of relationships weren't able to sustain themselves because they're not used to being in close proximity and all that time together, staying at home together, working from home, and having everything like that set up. So how, like, for your instance?
I mean, for me, I'm stubborn. I won't let anything go.
But from what you've experienced in terms of the people you work with, the culture there, the dating relationship culture there, do you think that's a reason for it to work because you have that distance apart?
I think so, yeah. I think it's healthy to be able to create your own distance outside of the relationship because you want to be you still. You want to know who you are still outside of the relationship.
Okay.
Child rearing. Do these coworkers of yours and these colleagues of yours, do they have children? Is children in abundance in that industry? Do you even plan on having children? I'm not even sure if you have children already. Is this a thing that, do you guys plan for that? Because I think if you recognize, I think even some of the audience members want to know, because the assumption, what we assume is just volatility because you're going from one place to another place to another place. So it's like, where do you have time to have what you want, which is groundedness? In a sense, you're so fly, right? Right? So it seems like people think that there is no groundedness when it comes to being a flight attendant, right?
Yeah.
Even the same way with even being a pilot. I imagine people think, how does this work? So that's.
Well, as I was saying, when you create your own schedule, it's so much easier to manage. I know many moms, they only choose day flights and short flights because they know they can be at home by like 6 p.m. latest. Yes, there is those days where Mother Nature does not side with you.
Mm.
But that comes with the job. I think that comes with any job where something comes up at an office job. Maybe it's an emergency and you got to stay those extra hours. You always got to have a backup plan. Maybe you have your nanny, maybe you have your husband, you maybe have your mom, dad, anybody to. Takes a village, I heard, to have that
Exactly.
family.
Yeah, 100%. That's the saying. So I wanted to talk about privacy and discretion when it comes to your life. How do you manage that in terms of social media? How much time do you put towards social media? Do you still use it, and if you are, how active are you on it?
Oh, right now I'm on a hiatus.
Okay, hiatus.
Yes.
Any specific reasons for why you're on it now? You're off it right now?
I just want to stay present mostly.
Okay,
I want to
alright.
be able to focus on me, accomplish my goals for myself.
Okay.
I know social media doesn't dictate that for myself, but I also just want to be in the dark for a bit, come out with a new self, you know?
That makes sense.
Do you experience sensory overload, flying to different countries, being on social media? Is there a time where you say, hey, man, I gotta, like, how does that work for you? Can you do 6 days on, let's say you see how you pick your own schedules. Do you notice after maybe the 14th flight or the 10th day, there's a burnout? You know how some people do night shift, 12-hour shifts, they'll get tired after a certain time. How is it for you?
Trust me. It gets tough sometimes, especially how I have another job as well. So
Oh, you do?
yeah.
Wow.
Being a flight attendant is just like my side job.
Okay.
Oh, never heard of that. So how's that now? 2 jobs and dealing and juggling a relationship. How does that work? How do you have that time to spend? And then how do you have time to spend on yourself? A lot of times we're talking about the relationship, but I want to know how you have time to think of yourself, because you have to dedicate time to your partner. You have to dedicate time to your work. So where do you find time to dedicate? And you have to dedicate time to just sustaining yourself. Obviously, grocery, laundry, dealing with your day-to-days. But how about your own mental health? How do you deal with that, with moving around so frequently, not being maybe in your comfort zone as often? How do you do that?
Well, you just said it, like being in your comfort zone. You got to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. So it's all about always making myself uncomfortable to be able to challenge myself. Where is the threshold of what is my limit, pretty much? So I always try, and this probably takes with the hiatus of social media right now, where I'm trying to challenge myself, where I'm able to build this routine, where I'm able to have my 9 to 5, do my flight attendant job, have a relationship, be able to cook, clean my home.
Okay, well, jump into that. We may as well get into, traditional women and modern women. And where do you think you fall in that?
I don't think the whole traveling aspect goes into the traditional part.
Well, off of the traveling part, but I just want to know, just in the sake of, having a man or maybe wanting to forge a relationship where it goes beyond that, maybe marriage, would you be more traditional or modern in terms of how you're orchestrating your relationship?
I like to be more traditional. I like making dinners. I like making sure the fridge is always stocked. I want to make sure like clothes are clean. I want to make sure the house is clean. I want to make sure you're feeling at home at all times.
Okay. You got anything to say on the matter, Dre?
I had a question. It's skipping me, but I'm going to come back to that point.
How about you, Sonny?
Well, when it comes to
in terms of she's doing a job that, like, of course, it wouldn't be considered traditional just because the nature of traveling, or at least that's the stereotype. I think, like she said, that there are mothers that she knows of that if they have enough seniority, they can set up a schedule so they can obviously have everything set up where they're living like a normal family, or what they call the nuclear family. So I was asking about, being traditional and modern in terms of her working. Traditional women are known to maybe not work as much, or to work part-time and maybe stay at home. That's usually put onto the traditional woman, where the modern woman is typically more modified. She's working as well. They probably have a nanny. They're working together in order to create the family dynamic, not necessarily one sitting at home. So what do you have to say on that, Sonny, in terms of that aspect? Considering she's a flight attendant, do you think it's possible to be a traditional woman while doing like a job of that nature?
Well, when it comes to that, I think that dynamic switches. I believe that traditional, being a traditional woman is the way I've seen it. They're not too far away from their husband or their kids. They're usually there for a good amount of the time. And when it comes to, their spouse constantly flying, it's not the same as when you're working in the same city or in the same country. I think when you're working in the same city and you just have, let's say, your time duration from work to home is like 30 minutes or even an hour, that's a lot easier to know what's going on in the family home rather than you being on a flight to, let's say, you're going to LA or Vancouver and stuff of that nature. I don't think, like, for example, if you have a child now, right, and your child is sick and you're in Vancouver or you're in somewhere in the States, Texas, how would you go about that?
I think, again, it all depends on how you want to have your family like. And then, for example, office jobs are just the same. When I had my office job, well, I still have an office job, but it's remote.
Mm-hmm.
But let's give or take my last job.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted us to start going to the office. Some days I didn't know traffic could take 2.5 hours when it's typically a 15-minute drive. That could be the same thing as just flying. I'm not going to be able to come home in 15 minutes, just as it is for driving.
I guess it's more of a reliability issue. Of course, in that case that you gave, the example would be that, the person's not able to reach, said destination. If your kid was, say, hospitalized or something that had happened that you have to deal with. I think what he's saying in terms of that is the proximity thing.
Yes.
So either way, you're still in the city. You're going to make it that time. There's no, unless something very catastrophic happened, it's just going to be a little delay of time where on a plane, Mother Nature is dictating everything.
Yes.
You don't get to dictate that.
Yes.
So it can be 2 days. It can be,
month.
a month. It can be a war in a different, I don't know. It can be something happen where it caused a big delay or whatever of that nature.
But if we're being honest, most men, especially the men that might be listening to this, they don't really care for the nuances of child rearing. I think most men will come from the perspective of, I can't trust this woman. I don't know what she's going to be on to, right? There might be trust issues with that.
Yeah.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I
right?
get
They might
that
say,
is true.
Yeah,
they might say, I
Also,
don't want this woman getting ideas. I don't
Yeah.
want, she's flying over here one time. She's going to Jamaica. She's going to,
100%.
she's going to Thailand. She's getting ideas. You might be thinking, just, some men might have this view, right?
100%.
Yeah, it'd be the same on both sides, or even
Also,
with the woman as well. If the man was a flight attendant, probably be the same on both sides.
Also, how's he supposed to be faithful?
I guess
we're not even
that,
taking that into account,
You
right?
know,
Where's his sexual pleasure? Where's his sexual needs?
That can come.
That's not.
If you're living in the city as well, we don't know what you're doing at night. You leave for 15 minutes. What are you doing?
Good point. Good
Oh,
point.
yeah,
That's a good
she
counter.
came
That's a
back.
good
She
counter.
came with the
back
counter.
with that. Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
That is true. It can
Oh.
happen at any
You could be
time.
like, oh, I went grocery shopping, got stuck in traffic. And it's like, okay.
That is a really good point I did not consider.
I did not consider that either. Okay, so
It goes both ways.
it does go both ways.
So
Happening-
trust is definitely staple in this industry. From what I'm understanding, you would have to have probably even more trust than the average sorts of industries, because your partner is going in and out. Your partner that's flying has to consider, you know what, is my man or is my woman gonna be as faithful, or what is this individual up to? I trust this individual completely. Like that type of thinking might not be applied in other industries,
Yes.
because you know that, oh, you're not flying, you're not flying anytime
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
But the person that's flying, the flight attendant might have to be like, well, I am flying quite often.
Yeah.
So what kind of double life do you have? You know,
Mm.
conveniently, you're always ready to do what I look for when I come back, when
Yeah.
I land back. But, right? So
So would you say that you don't think about those things often? Like when it comes to your partner. So when you go overseas or when you take a flight out, you're not thinking about
even
I
solo
wonder-
trips.
yeah.
Even solo trips.
You're not thinking about, what is my partner doing? I wonder what they're doing. Are they messing around? Are they being faithful? Does that not cross your mind? Are you just like, oh, no, I'm living in the moment. I'm here now, so I'm going to worry about the present and what's going on over here. And then when I get back, now I can start focusing on okay, what's my partner up to? And we're just gonna continue where we left off. I don't really care what he was up to. I'm just gonna continue where we left off. And then if you feel good about it in that sense, well, then there's no need to, create a fire in the home.
I think if those thoughts are happening while I'm traveling, those thoughts are going to happen just at home too.
Mm.
They're not going to be coming just because I'm traveling somewhere or he's traveling somewhere.
Okay.
If I'm at home, I'm probably going to be thinking the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question on that in terms of trust. When you get with somebody, and of course, like when you're dating them, how do you develop that sense of trust behind that person, especially when it's somebody that might not be from your friend circle, so not maybe your friends, your relatives, people never vouch for this person. It's just a person that you may have met, they may have picked you up. It could have been online, it could have been whatever way of dating. How do you get a sense of trust behind a person that you might have not even known for a year, but you're still willing to get into a relationship with them?
I think it comes with a lot of communication. How can you really get to know someone without those deep talks or what your life goals are, where you're headed in life? You're not going to form, I think it goes with anybody too, like even with your friends. Do I really know you? Like,
well, I guess it goes down to the questions that I asked, but what I'm trying to say is, the point of why people are distrustful is because they don't truly know them. They never spent enough time with them. So how do you know, or I'd say when someone has a bad experience, like, so say you were in a relationship and say you got cheated on, right? You're going to have a distrust for the men moving forward. Usually that's the case because you would have said, maybe in your case, the guy could have been lying and he could have been putting on a facade of a nice guy, et cetera, et cetera. Ends up playing you dog, you ghost you, whatever the case may be. So when say you're going to a new relationship and it's a matter of trust, because we're talking about the trust of you traveling or him doing whatever and you not thinking about these things. But say you have that type of trauma and you're trying to trust someone else. Like, how do you even get over that type of barrier when it comes to trust? Because I know most women have been cheated on, to be honest. They've been with a guy that's slept with another woman, or they told them, lies or whatever the case may be just to get some. So how do you jump into another relationship and have that same level of trust that you had initially before anything bad happened?
if I'm not willing to unlearn my bad experiences to develop new experiences, I think that's something I have to really look at myself in the mirror and really say, are you ready for one? Because if you're bringing your past, and don't get me wrong, I think it's so hard to unlearn your bad experiences and everything. But if you're not open to willing or willing to unlearn those bad experiences, how can you be ready to be in a relationship?
Okay.
Because you're just going to be bringing all those past people and you're going to be comparing those past people to the person in front of you now. I don't think that's fair to that person.
Okay. I understand that. So you basically don't bring any trauma from the past to your present.
And I'm not saying, like, trust me, like, that's where I'm saying you have to try, like, you have to be willing to unlearn. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect or you're going to do it, you're going to get it the first shot, but you got to be transparent with yourself and you got to be transparent with your partner.
Okay.
And you have to hope to have that reciprocation back. And I'm not saying you're going to get that trust right away.
Yeah.
Or I'm not saying you can even get that trust at all. But at least at the end of the day, you're truthful to yourself and you're trying your best at the end. I think that's all you can really do. It's the way of life. Unfortunately, some people experiences those bad experiences time after time and have this epitome of who a man's supposed to be or who a woman's supposed to be, because they have this fixated thought, because they have all those experiences that this is just how a man this is how a man is and this is how a woman is. I don't want to ever put somebody in one category. Everybody's different. We're all different. Every relationship is different. You will never be able to define one relationship. Only the two people in that relationship will be able to define that.
See, I find that interesting, but the thing is, although you can't really, everybody's different, but at the end of the day, we have to take into consideration if you had a relationship with another person and you've been with that person for a long period of time, so we're talking about 5 to 10 years, there's no way that you're not going to do some kind of comparing and contrast when you go to another relationship, because subconsciously that individual's still going to be imprinted in your mind, and that's forever. So when your new partner does certain things, you're going to look back and say, hey, my last guy never did this. Or let's say, he used to pay for this. How come you don't pay for this? Even if you don't voice it out loud, in your head, you're going to be making that comparison. It's like, oh, this guy did this guy doesn't do this, or he does that, and how come this guy doesn't do this? There's going to be things that you like about the new guy, and then there's going to be things that you don't like about the new guy. So how do you try to erase that past that you had that's going to be sitting in your mind subconsciously and move on and move forward without having that distract your future?
I think you have to ask yourself, are you looking for that same man, or are you looking for a different one? Because if you're looking for that same one, might as well just go back to him. Because why are you looking for the same traits? Yes, they're going to have similar traits, but why are you, I know you're saying 10 years and so it's, you've developed a habit with
100%, 100%.
formed a whole life with them.
Yeah.
But I think you have to understand yourself of what you want. Maybe you could do those things for yourself if that person's not giving it to you.
Yeah. So, see, I think the biggest problem is breaking the habit. And that's what a lot of people aren't able to do. It's just like if a person was, let's say a person wanted to lose weight, right? And going to the gym, that was never their habit. They always used to, eat junk food, and they always had late night meals and stuff of that nature. Now you're telling this person that they have to do a whole 180 on their life. Now they got to, start eating healthy, get a personal trainer. Now you got to start going to the gym. This person's never done this, or he's never done this. He's never done it for like 5-10 years. Now you're telling me that, all of a sudden they got to like re-engineer their whole being and what they are used to, and now they have to create this whole new person. I think some individuals can do that. They can make that decision and stick to it, and that's a small number. That's a small percentage. Gerard, you want to jump in on that?
I mean, I wanted to ask a totally different question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to take this to some degree lighthearted. What are the perks of actually being with a flight attendant? In other words, you know how some I was just thinking, from me being selfish and just vain.
Let's get it.
I was just
It's
thinking,
a far from normal. Yes,
no, seriously, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so I have a flight attendant as a woman. Do I get to fly more? What happens? Does she bring me tickets? I'm curious.
Yeah.
I want to kind of know how that.
You remember Foot Locker when someone had like they worked there, there's the 50% off.
There you go.
That's basically what you're trying to.
I mean, do you want to go to Japan for $100?
Whoa, is that how that goes?
I mean, that would be
You serious?
great.
That's how that
That would be
works.
great.
First class.
What?
Wow. First class flight. Let's get it.
Ah.
I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but
You really saying this happens? It's
yeah. Why do you still think I have this job?
Wow.
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 Can't give up that.
That's it. There you go. There you
And
have
why
it.
would I take that away from my parents, my partner? Why would I take that away from myself?
Yeah. Okay.
And have to pay full fare. Sorry,
Of course.
everybody.
So it's a great.
No,
Sorry.
Well,
100%.
it's a great perk then to be in the flight attendant.
So you
know?
can extend that to family members and loved ones. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I got what I needed with that one.
And I would say probably the primary reason as to why I want to keep this job for as long as possible is because my parents want to retire in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I was trying to find them a confirmed ticket the other day because my mom can't do the downside of traveling with the benefits is that it's like last seat available.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Based on
Okay.
seat availability, my bad. But my mom can't do that standby game because she has shift work. So she has to be back on specific days.
Got it.
So
Wow.
for now, until she retires, she has to do confirm. And I was looking at tickets the other day, and it was like 3,400 round trip to go to the Philippines.
What?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more expensive than Africa, man.
Damn it, I know. God damn it.
I guess you're going pretty far. You're probably going further.
Well, and she also wants to go for Christmas. So
That-
then I'm just
okay,
like,
yes, Christmas. Yeah, that's
oh,
a
when
tough
are you
time.
retiring? Because then you could just go for 300.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, you can get
Yeah.
on a cheap flight.
That's
Yeah.
crazy because I would think a lot of people travel to the Philippines, so I would think that that would be, let's say, a cheaper flight. I mean, but then again, if a lot of people travel there, then I guess there's an incentive to raise the price. But if you think about places like Colombia, when you go in places like Medellin, you could get a flight ticket for like $600, and that's a tourist destination. So
It's
I don't
also
know.
6 hours away from here.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess the time
Not
duration.
like 24.
All right.
To
So,
get gloomy,
yeah,
one other
okay.
question I have, to get gloomy. So if you're in a relationship with this, you're a flight attendant, you're in a relationship, you and your man or whatever have you, you're on vacation, and you guys are having some whatever turbulent kind of situation. How does that work? Do you leave him there? Like, I'm trying to say, like, the power. I'm trying to see the power dynamic here. If you get to a place where you're that upset, do you? Is it possible to do that? I'm just curious. I'm asking questions. I'm just trying to figure out how this goes. Is it possible to say, you know what, in terms of power dynamics, say, all right, since we're done, or since you're not understanding, let me put you on a discipline, for instance. Find your own way back. Is that a thing? Does that happen even in your circles or through the grapevine?
For me personally, I would never do that to anybody.
Has it
Even
happened from
it
your
hap-
knowledge?
Not with a partner, maybe a friend.
No, that's
where-
what I
Oh
mean.
yeah, friend.
that's-
He's talking
that's-
about.
You're just saying
Anyone that you know.
anybody
Yeah.
in those
Yeah.
scenarios.
There was a situation, and I could have left her. But I was like, I brought you here.
Wow.
Wow.
I
Wow.
brought you here. The last thing I will do is leave you here.
Wow.
But it is possible that if those flight attendants that don't have a kind heart
They
could
could
just
do
leave them
that.
there.
And trust me, even her over here, she's saying just leave her.
Oh wow,
Oh,
wow.
God.
I
Oh,
mean,
my
yeah,
goodness.
some people are a little different. They're more.
Drop
Straight-
the axe,
yeah, they
the
just-
guillotine.
Yeah, there's no second chances.
Well, even with my parents, I told
drop
them
the
this whole
axe.
situation once I was home, and they're like, "You have a big heart to even have brought her home."
Oh no, 100%. Some people don't like to put up with the
but
nonsense.
that I don't want no karma coming back at me.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what this situation is. You care to elaborate?
It's too long.
Yeah.
Too long?
It's like
There's
a,
no
it's like
cliff
a,
notes, no quick
it's like
ones?
a week was worth.
Oh
of
wow,
story.
yeah, that's not a long story.
Wow,
Well,
okay.
well, I want to ask is what I want to ask is, let's say a person wants to date a flight attendant. How do they go about that? Because the only time they'll probably meet a flight attendant is probably when they're flying, or maybe if they're, let's say they're going home, you see them with their luggage and they
Or
start-
to add to that,
yeah,
in policing and in paramedics,
Yeah.
or EMS, these type of things, you have group chats and
Yeah.
everybody knows everybody,
yeah,
right? So same thing even with private security or in the military. People have contacts and, again, like I said, group chats on
Yeah.
WhatsApp or whatever have you. Do you, as a flight attendant, have things like that? Where is there like a communication hub where all flight attendants sign into, some kind of Facebook or some kind of Instagram, or it's exclusive to you guys?
There's a Facebook group.
oh, okay.
It could get pretty interesting.
So can anybody join if they to Sonny's
Oh.
question
Yeah.
in terms of he wants to find okay? There's no
So,
entry.
so how do they do it?
How would they
Yeah,
find?
how would they go
I
about
mean,
that?
I think it goes like meeting anyone else. You go on those dating apps. You could go meet them at a restaurant, a
Mm.
bar.
Mm.
They have lives outside of flying.
Yeah, they
No,
do.
but okay. So is that the kind of question you were
Well,
asking?
if they're looking for a
Specific. That's what I was trying to say. Like, is there a
you're
place where we
saying-
can?
Yeah, like
In this
you're
case,
saying, you're saying you can.
I'm
meet
learning
them
so
anywhere.
much about
Yeah.
being a flight attendant. I want to actually meet one. Let's just say,
Yeah.
and it's like, is there a way where it's like my target is for a flight attendant? I want a woman that's fly. I want to be able to.
Yeah, like
you know?
Yeah.
that's flying, exactly catching those air miles.
I mean, you could just go to the airport.
The airport. Pick
Airport.
them up.
Pretend you're going somewhere.
Okay, I'm not doing that.
Okay, okay, yeah, true. You can ask them a question, and then I guess it could spark up a
Could be
conversation. But
like,
they could be in a hurry. They could, I got a flight to catch.
that's
Like,
me. That's
See,
me.
see what I mean?
Usually they're in a
I
hurry.
am-
They're
They're in a
rushing with
hurry,
their
yeah.
bags.
Devil's
running late.
advocacy here.
I
Devil's
am-
advocacy.
Okay.
That's all.
I am that flight attendant. It's like I even have my AirPods in. Do not talk to me.
Look at that. See
Ah.
that?
Let me
So
go
that's
straight to the gate.
you know what it is, because that's a working environment. So I don't think they're so friendly in that at that time period where it's like there's so much things engaging and they're just like moving and grooving. Like I don't got no time. It's just like someone is working out. Sometimes people don't have time. They just like, hey, I'm just trying to pump these weights. I'm
mean-
out of here. So how do they do that?
They
as a
think you're
flight?
cute. I'm pretty sure they'll stop.
Yeah, but if
Okay.
they're on the clock, their flight is on their way. They don't got no
I could
time
be
to
late.
stop. Yeah, it's-
Oh, they gotta stop the
have
plane.
have you seen that? Like, do you have friends that have said, "Oh, I met this cute guy at the airport while we were just waiting," and
Yeah.
and then he
Or
picked me
like
up.
custom officers or
What? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there, a lot of moving parts.
even passengers. You could just there's been passengers that would come up, just give them a napkin. It'd be their number. You could just simply do that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How much time did that work out of 10 for you? Jesus Christ.
Honestly, does that actually work?
Not for me, but
Exactly.
you
So,
can't-
tell me the percentage.
That's you
Out
can't
of
give
10,
people
is it zero?
a failing system. That doesn't work.
Yeah, we're looking to win
does that
here.
work?
This is a winner circle.
How?
I mean, there have been flight attendants who actually passed their number. There's been a lot of cases of that.
Flight attendants to you.
No, like my coworkers, they pass it to a passenger.
So they're
Okay,
gonna-
hold on. Oh, so wait, what gender we talking about? You trying to say you see male flight attendants do this, or
Both.
okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a person needs to wait for that opportunity. They can't
I mean,
create.
they
their
don't
own
need to,
opportunity.
but she's trying to basically say the way, like, if you try to create it from the napkin, she's telling you that she even receives
I'm not saying the
she's
napkin.
tossing.
I'm
She's
forget,
tossing the
forget
napkin.
the napkin.
She's
I'm
blowing her
saying-
nose with a napkin.
I'm just asking, what's a winning strategy? Don't give me a napkin.
Yeah, because the napkin,
about-
that's going to get crushed in your
Exactly.
pocket to never be seen
What?
again. That's going to be in the laundry into lint.
Oh yeah, probably.
What's a winning strategy that a flight attendant that you know of told you, oh, this guy did something interesting, and yeah, I gave him my number? You must have heard some kind of story.
It all happens in the galley.
Galley,
Galley,
what's
what's
that?
that?
Being like the kitchen of the aircraft.
Oh,
like-
when you headed to like the
Okay,
washroom?
okay.
And then
Yeah.
So, okay, that's where you
It
isolate
all
it.
happens
That's
there.
where you pay ISO ball.
Yeah.
That's where the conversation starts. That's where the
Okay.
free drinks come.
See, this is a free
That's
game,
where-
fellas.
This is
Listen
free
up.
game.
This is a free game. You want a flight attendant? Catch them at the back. That's it.
Yeah. Don't catch them mid conversation though. Like get them while they're doing something.
So when it's low, and it's like people are sleeping at night, there's just one
Yeah.
at the back. You
Yeah.
do. That's where you can kind of get your,
yeah,
get yourself a little wine. You know.
when
Yeah.
they put the lights out on the plane, yeah, everyone's sleeping. That's when you go to the back.
Get the
and-
complimentary
yeah,
wine.
yeah.
What about flight attendants and pilots? Are there any kind of dynamics like that? How does that work?
There's a lot.
I've heard a lot of stories. I've
Yeah,
heard a lot of
listen,
stories
I'm-
with
I'm a-
superiors.
Fish out of water in this world. I want to know.
100% that's happening. What?
I-
You got authority.
I did want to talk about that.
Of
Definitely,
course.
the flight attendant culture. Of course, there's many stories we've heard throughout the years, but we've never had a flight attendant, in studio, of course. But not to expose anyone, but there's been crazy stories that have gone on with pilots and obviously flight attendants. That's the biggest one. It's the power dynamic, almost like at a bar having a manager and servers. The same kind of relationships seem to occur. So
I'm the sort of person to abuse my rights if I was a pilot. Like, if the
Ah.
flight
Yes,
attendant's not
yeah.
a good looking kind of woman, I'm looking for ways to how do we
Yeah,
How do we
readjust?
readjust?
Does this type of
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
happen?
yeah.
And
do you think there's a privilege or is there a bias when these pilots, picking certain women to be in certain areas and that? Like,
Oh, just keep the smile.
You didn't want to answer that
God,
question.
bro.
Her flight attendant colleagues are gonna be watching this, so
that's
she,
true. She's not
she
trying
can't
to,
be giving that game.
Trying to give that game.
Yeah,
But she gave a lot of
She
game.
gave us a lot of game. I do want to say that we're wrapping up
Yes, sir.
shortly.
Mhm.
So I do want to hear if you have any concluding statements or any advice for people that want to get into being a flight attendant. Any final advice, concluding statements?
I would say being a flight attendant doesn't deprive you from having any type of social life
Okay.
or any type of relationship. I think you got to look at them like any other person. They don't got to be jet setting every single day. We can make a life outside of work, just as
Interesting.
any other job.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely see you having a life outside.
Plus
of
the
this one.
discount.
So, yeah,
That's not bad, The
Yeah.
discounts.
Exactly. And I get to bring my friends with me.
Yeah.
I get to enjoy my job's perks with everybody around me.
So now the guy can't fly you out. You have to fly them out.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's how it goes. You're
Okay.
flying them out.
No,
No?
no,
Good thing I
no,
date
that's true.
locally.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
wow.
true.
Yeah, but you fly them out to where you're gonna be, right? If you're gonna head out somewhere and you're like, I can fly you out there. Don't worry, I got you.
These power dynamics are pretty uncomfortable. The more I continue. to
Yeah,
hear
that's
about
what I
this.
started to
Yeah.
hear. I'm like, well, hey.
Well, I mean, if they want to fly confirmed, that's up to them.
There you have it. That's Kayla, ladies and gentlemen.
Dry, you have any concluding statements as well?
No, today, I was just the student today. I was listening. And I learned
I
a
was
lot.
a student too.
For
I
all
was learning a lot.
students, we got taught a bit
I was
about
learning.
the
I was learning
flight
about-
game
Yeah.
and what that entails, dating as a flight attendant. Lot of important things here. It's not every day you start to see, you talk to a flight attendant. To be honest, I don't know many. I don't know any except for you. It's such a job that most people, again, don't really jump into that. They think it entails, obviously, like you said, jet setting, traveling places for long periods of time, coming back, basically in and out of the country. But what Kayla said is that you can have a healthy relationship. Even being a flight attendant is just about how you schedule yourself. It's about what kind of family you're looking to start, what kind of relationship you're looking to start. Obviously, having a partner that understands that as well. And it's pretty much a normal 9-to-5 job from what Kayla's saying. It could be that if you want it to be that. And I understand it can be, a crazy experience where you're just traveling, partying, even hooking up. We got to get into it because a lot of people want to be flight attendants to, maybe expand their horizon. I mean,
Make it
Taste the
whatever
rainbow.
taste the rainbow.
Make it whatever
hey,
you want it to be.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what I know it to be. At least when I see a flight attendant, I see the access. That's where my mind goes. So everyone has their different opinions on it. But what do you got to say on this, Sonny?
I was a student. Honestly, I was learning more about flight attendants. I had my own stereotypes of a flight attendant, but she's debunking that, and she was telling me about, oh yes. But again, everybody has their own experience as a flight attendant. There could be like some debaucherous behavior that's going on as a
Yes,
flight
sir.
attendant.
He said debauchery.
Yeah, and then there's people that are gonna be more. I'm about the job. I just come, get paid, and get out of there. At the end of the day, I have a spouse at home. I got a family at home, so that's all I'm doing. So I mean, I can't really say much about that. So it was
We
good to
appreciate the
be
guest,
educated, and
100%.
definitely appreciate Kayla coming back on.
Drop the applause, brother.
Yeah,
Drop the applause.
I definitely got to give her the applause on that one. That one was crazy.
Drop that applause. Gotta clap it up for Kayla.
Yeah.
Did a good job. See, we didn't go after you.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't so bad, right?
It's so bad. You guys kind of went soft on me today.
Exactly. And this is the Far From Normal podcast with your boy Sonny Frames,
And your boy Fuzzy Vision
and we are out.
Deuces.
The way you make me feel, I'm just trying to get my